join us. We are so grateful to God that we all crossed over into this new year and into this new decade. And we know God is going to do amazing things in your life. And we look forward to hearing all the wonderful testimonies. As we started on this broadcast, please do share tonight's broadcast. Share. I've been told that watch parties don't help to get everyone's comments in the one feed. So if you share, that would be more helpful than a watch party. So please do that. Right now, click it, share. Thank you.
Yeah, and sharing actually is... what did you say?
Sharing is caring.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Sharing is caring. So that's beautiful. That's a good slogan, actually.
You haven't heard it?
I may have,
surely,
but maybe not paid so much attention to it.
Okay.
So we're glad that you are on, and please share, get all your contacts to come in right now, because it's going to be a very powerful, life-changing discussion that we're going to be having this evening. So we're just going to give maybe a couple of minutes for more people to come in. And I'm just going to be welcoming you as you come in. I can see we've got Beta is already on, Sister Beta. We've got Amanda Apollon is watching. We've got Aisha Jennifer is watching. We've got Rosalyn Adiola. Sanapa is watching. You know, we have many more people who are joining in. So just those of you who are already on now, please share, because we believe that what we want to discuss this evening is going to be of a great blessing and a great help to so many people. So it will be nice to have many, many more people joining. The numbers are building up gradually. And we are going to kick off the discussion in just about 60 seconds. So it's a countdown to the time. I'm welcoming, like to welcome Star Shava, who have just joined in. Also Erame Helen, who have also just joined in. I can see Juliet Osazua. You know what would be good for us? Tell us where you're watching from. You know, people watching from different nations. Okay, so Amanda is all the way from Christian Life Center. I'm watching, and I'm so happy to follow your ministry. God bless you, Amanda. She's all the way in the U.S., and she's watching. And Amanda, I'll see you all soon, because I'm ministering in the revival meeting in your church. We have Anne-Marie, who have just joined in.
And today is her birthday, so happy birthday.
Beautiful.
Happy birthday, Sister
Happy
Anne-Marie.
birthday, Anne-Marie. We're giving you a shout, and everyone around the globe,
Yes.
you know,
He's saying happy birthday.
saying happy birthday. So this is a big one for you.
Yeah.
Thumbs up for you. And just tell us where you are watching from. Okay, great. I think we're going to begin to, and everyone, like I said, who is already on, please share on your page. Share on your page so that more people can come in. We will be having a very interesting discussion, and I think this is something that affects every marriage.
Yeah.
And so today's topic on Talk with the Missus, we're going to be discussing the role of a third party in your marriage. The role of a third party in your marriage. I think that one is a heavy one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Erame Helen, all the way from Ughelli in Delta State, Nigeria. Beautiful. I was just there last week in Delta State, Nigeria for the After This conference, and it was just a very, very powerful, life-changing time. I hope you were there and you were blessed as well. And thank you for joining us today. So, third party in marriages.
Yep, third party in marriages.
Yeah. What have you got to say?
I think, firstly, what we're classing as a third party is really everyone that's not the husband or the wife.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So everybody who is not the husband or the wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is a third party.
So that's mothers, mother-in-laws, fathers, father-in-laws,
father-in-laws,
siblings,
friends.
friends.
Yeah. Just every other person.
Even pastor. A pastor is a third
Yeah.
party.
Just
Yeah.
every other person
Yeah.
that is not the husband or the wife. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a third party. Of course, God is not a third party. He's in this because he's the core or the center of the marriage. But every other human being is therefore, we see them as a third party.
Yeah.
So that's what we're classing as a third party. So maybe I'll begin by asking, is it the presence of third party, the presence or input or influence of third party in a marriage, is it necessary or it is not necessary?
The input of a
Input, presence, or influence of a third party.
Well, I think it is necessary. It is necessary. It's essential even for anybody in life to be able to grow and to be the best that they can be. Having other people's input, having other people's influence, and having other people's, what was the other one you said?
Input, influence, and presence. Yeah.
They are all very, very useful and needful. I think even the Bible does definitely encourage it. But where there's an issue is when it's a negative influence, it's a negative presence, it's a negative input. So where the result of such is now causing tension and causing issues within your home, within your marriage, that's where there's a problem. So it's not whether it should exist or it should be there at all, definitely, but within reason, within boundaries. You can't just open your home to any and everybody. There should be boundaries of who should be able to, have an influence that affects your home and who should not.
Okay, so basically we're saying that when we speak of third party, whether it's third party influence, third party input, or third party presence in a marriage, it is inevitable.
Yeah.
Somehow, somewhere, every marriage has either an input, a presence, or an influence of a third party.
Yes.
So it does not matter whether you got wedded in the moon or in the sky.
When you came back to earth.
When you come back to earth, every marriage has, some form of input, influence, or presence of third party.
Yes.
And sometimes the third party is not just one. Sometimes there are multiple third parties. Like we said, third party, could be in-laws, parents, siblings, friends, and all of that. Someone is asking, are children counted as third party?
I don't know. To the marriage, the marriage is between one man and one woman.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about the marriage itself,
if it's the marriage, then yes, it could be that the children are a third party. But if it's families, then they're not. So I think that there's a place. So essentially, we are saying that third party is essential, or is an essential part of every marriage, even though people don't want to talk about it. And even though people can claim to say, look, you don't need any third party in your marriage. It's just you and your husband, and there should be no third party. There should be no third party. The truth is, everybody has an input, influence, or a presence of a third party in their marriage. We are then saying that, from what I gather from what you were saying, the problem is not whether third party exists or not. The problem is, what kind of third party do you have in your marriage. Yeah? That becomes the problem because you can either have a positive third party influence or input in your marriage, or a negative third party influence in marriage. And many a time, it is the negative third party influence in the marriage that is highlighted, that is seen, that is visible. And the positive third party input is many a time discounted or not really noticed.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So I think let's then talk about, okay, if there are third parties, no matter who they are, it could be your pastor, it could be your in-laws, it could be just anybody who is a third party. Yeah. What is the role of third parties? Because there are some marriages that are in trouble today because of third party. Because of third party influence, because of the input of third party. There are some marriages that the fight in the home, the disintegration in the home is a product of third party influence. At the same time, there are some marriages that are thriving, that are surviving. Their survival today, the fact that marriage still exists, is because of the input of a third party. So I'd like us to kind of look into the details of both sides, the negative third party and the positive third party. What constitutes a negative third party?
I think a negative third party is somebody that's trying to control your marriage from outside.
Okay.
They're trying to tell, let's say, influence the wife to behave a certain way or to do certain things in the house towards her husband or towards the family. Or like, for example, I've heard of women that have been advised, oh, you need to buy a land and build on a land back home in your home country, and don't even tell your husband, and don't have his name on the paperwork, because you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. That's, for me, that's a
okay. So somebody giving an advice to a woman to say, oh, this men, you can't trust them. So make sure you are building your own thing, buy your own land and all of that. That's a negative third party right there.
Yeah.
Trying to divide you in a subtle way that seem like they are advising you or they care about you.
Yeah. I know like a couple where when that now happened, the woman did actually do that. And when
she actually bought the land.
Yeah, she bought the land and built on it.
Without the husband knowing. Jesus Christ.
And then when the husband now found out,
yeah,
it was just disaster.
Yeah.
You know, it was not seen well. It was not taken well. And it now made him bitter towards his wife.
Yeah, because he'll be wondering, you know, what kind of woman am I living with? I'm living with you in the same house.
Yeah.
We sleep on the same bed. You have bought a land in your home country. You have built a house. From when you bought the land till
when you were looking, what about the search? Does it not take long to find the house?
You then buy, build, and I have no knowledge of it. The question the man will be asking himself is, what more?
Yeah.
You know, what else?
Do I not know?
Maybe
she has secret children. You know, those kind of things.
Exactly.
Will now be...
And marriage is a function of trust.
Yes.
And trust actually is sustained by being transparent.
Yeah.
So now that person has been advised by a third party.
Yes.
That has then pushed them to that place where the man then becomes bitter.
It became bitter. They even started sleeping in different rooms.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the whole, it just went downhill, the relationship.
Wow. And it was a good, healthy home before.
Yeah, to a degree.
So, you know, third party influence, I think we have to be wise. There are even some third party influences where you have some mothers or even some fathers, not just mothers, some parents, trying to control the homes of their son or the homes of their daughter.
Yeah.
That is they've lived their life, they've had their own home, I'm not talking about advice. There's a difference between advising a son, getting advice from your parents, and getting advice from your in-laws. But when it comes to controlling, literally to the point that a woman can agree on something with her husband, then she will not have to go and check with her mother or check with her father. And if her father or her mother says otherwise, you come back, oh, but daddy said, but mommy said. No, it's true.
It's bad. It's bad.
You're not
married to your mother, or you're not married to your father. You're married to your husband.
You are married to your husband.
Your wife.
Yeah.
You should your mother or your father, they've had their turn of being a husband and wife.
Exactly.
Or maybe they're still even having their turn. Let them continue with their turn.
Yeah.
It's your own turn to build your own marriage, to build your own home. So you should be able to stand and be one with your spouse.
Yes.
It's not being one with your parents.
Exactly. To the degree that the parents now control the home, the man now feels, or the woman feels, depending on where the influence is coming from, that they can't really make any decision and work with it except they get the approval of the parent, of the mother, or of the father. And so at the end of the day, the question then becomes, am I marrying you, or is your parents marrying you? So those are kind of negative influences, because the parents have not let go, or the man who is married to this woman have not let, the Bible says, man shall leave the father and mother to cleave. You have to leave to cleave.
Yeah.
Living does not mean you cannot be advised. But there's a difference between somebody advising you and somebody actually running your home.
Yeah.
Somebody controlling and dictating, what happens in that home, to the degree that maybe one of the parties, will not take any step with the husband, or will not take any step with the wife without the approval of the so-called parent. So those are negative, negative influences that can lay hold about it. So I think that we have to be mindful. The question that we probably have to ask ourselves is, or each individual need to ask themselves is, who are the third parties in my marriage? And which of them are positive influences? Which of them are negative influences?
Yeah.
The reason is that you definitely need the third parties. Even if you feel you don't need them, they do exist.
Yeah.
Every home has them.
I think even the Bible says that in the multitude of
counsel. Yeah, it says
safety.
There's safety. Yeah. In the multitude of counsel. It says plans will fail without guidance.
Wow.
Plans will fail. I think that's Proverbs 15 verse 22 also. It says plans will fail without guidance. So no matter how much you can plan, those plans are bound, or they may fail if you don't have guidance. So there are people who are more experienced than you.
Yeah, sure.
There are people who God has given some level of wisdom in certain areas more than you. So their counsel, their advice is useful, but there's a difference between advice and control. So I think as much as we are talking about having positive or having a third party presence in your family or in your marriage, as much as we're saying is great, you have to be able to establish which ones are the positive ones and which ones are the negative ones.
Yeah.
And it's very important for even a couple to discuss it.
So how do you determine that? How do you, it's a little bit obvious in terms of the effect that such an advice will have.
Yeah.
But if it's subtly negative, it comes through in a subtle, how do you determine, how do you now characterize that, this advice that this person is giving to me, I don't think it will end well? How do you...
No, I think I would say one of the ways to determine a negative third-party influence is anybody whose presence in your life, anybody whose presence in your life creates trouble between you and your spouse is a negative third party. Anybody who's present, and the present could be their advice. You'll find that every time I get an advice from this person and I act on it, it creates a problem between me and my spouse. Or anytime this person is in our home, there's always a problem. Or anytime, I mean, for instance, okay, let's say you want to choose third party. Let's say for a woman. How can your closest advisor as a woman, you're a married woman, you say, this is my advisor, somebody who counsels me when I'm having issues, or just speak to me about marriage. And it's somebody whose marriage is not working. That is already a negative third party as far as I'm concerned, because if their marriage is not working, it means that there's probably something. So they are only going to advise you to relate with your husband or relate with your wife the way they are relating, but it's not working.
And it's their fault that it's not working. Or even
if
it's not.
How would you know whether it takes two to tango? If you speak to them, they will tell you that it is their husband's fault. That is why it's not working. There's nobody who's going to claim that is the fault. If you speak to the husband will tell you it's the wife's fault. What we know as outsiders, because we don't live with them, is that it is not working. So if it is not working, something is not right. If such a person then becomes your major advisor in your marriage, because people, you can't give what you don't have. People are only going to counsel you and advise you based on what they themselves believe in and what they themselves are doing. So I think that can be an indication of a negative third party. So there are many ways to identify.
I think you're right. And the thing is that it's not that you go looking for advice as well, because sometimes it just comes to you. Because I remember when, before we got married, when I was at that stage of courtship, or that stage of soon to marry, that a woman came to me and unsolicited for, so she came to me and gave me this advice that I thought to myself, if I follow this advice, I don't think I will have a nice marriage. Now, the advice was that, these men, you have to, let me tell you something, what you have to do when you marry, you have to be strong. You need to fight for what it is that you want. You have to push it through until you get it. I thought to myself, what kind of advice is this? You want to cause me to have issues? Issues in my home? You have not even started. I've not even started.
You have not even married. You are preparing for marriage. Somebody is advising you that as you are going there, you have to fight for this man. If you don't fight for your right, then they will oppress you. You have to fight until you get what you want. So if you now follow that advice, if you didn't realize that this is a negative advice, a negative third party, you follow that advice, the man you claim to love, from the day we now got married, if you now came with the mentality to fight, that means you'll be fighting me now. Me, I will now look at you that, this woman, we both claim to love each other. She has now become my bossing opponent on the marriage ring. It's true. So, and once you now provoke that, because you feel that is what it should be. So I think there are ways you can pick out these negative third parties, and it can be destructive. So it's a thing where I think when you are married, you have to ask yourself, there are some friends that are good for you when you were single that will not be good for you when you are married. That is the truth. There are some friends that they may be...
Because they don't understand.
Well, it could be one, because they don't understand marriage, and...
Or they don't see it the same way you do.
They don't see it.
Because they could even be married, those friends. We're not saying single friends. But they could even be married, but because of the way they see marriage and the way they practice their marriage,
Yeah.
you know that that's not something where you want to be or where you want to go to.
Yeah.
Like this woman that gave me that example, that gave me that advice, for example, she married at a young age, she told me, and so within how many years of the marriage, the man now passed away. Now, back on my mind, I'm thinking, I hope it wasn't because of all these issues that was on ground, you know, just give the person high blood pressure and all those kind of stuff, because he just passed away. So all those kind of advice, like you said, is very crucial to be able to sift out which ones are positive and helpful, and which ones are negative and toxic.
Yeah, it's true. Well, we'd like to hear from people. Those of you who are watching,
Yeah.
you know, tell us what you think, you know, about the role of third parties
Yeah.
in marriages. Is it helpful or is it harmful? You know, the role. What do you think? What do you guys think?
Yeah.
And we'll read some of the comments. The role of third party, is it helpful or is it harmful? I think that there are some that are very, very helpful.
Yeah. So it could be both then. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's what I think. But, you know, people will be able to share, because a lot of people have experiences or they have seen things happen in other scenarios, may not necessarily be their own home.
Yeah.
So they'll be able to tell, you know, whether or not is helpful or harmful, the role of third parties in a marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that God has designed marriages to work, and especially we're in a new year. And when people are coming into a new year, there are a lot of things that are going through people's mind. People are trying to reshaping their lives. Some people are evaluating their friendships and what friendships to keep, what friendships not to keep. Some people are evaluating their families, their marriage, the things that worked, the things that didn't work.
Yeah.
So people kind of, you know, and for that, it's important that people can then look at, okay, what is it helpful
Yeah.
or is it harmful?
Yeah. I think it's funny that you say that, because I came across a study that said that in the month of January is the biggest month or the most popular month for people to get divorced.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the most popular month because people are just...
So you're feeling, oh, this is a new
year.
year.
Yeah.
I can deal with the things I dealt with last year.
Yeah.
You know, this
Fresh, new year,
man
new me.
inclusive,
Yeah.
or this woman inclusive.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to deal with that this year. So new year, new me, and here's the divorce paper.
Well, hopefully it's not like that, but it happens. Yeah.
Yeah, but if the study says that, you
so
know,
what could be
yes,
causing that? Yeah.
then there must be a thought pattern that's going on in people's minds that aligns with that. Okay, I think we got some comments. Anne-Marie said it can be both ways. So in other words, she's saying that a third party can be helpful and it can also be harmful.
Yeah.
I believe that she's probably saying depending on who
On the third party itself.
yeah, who the third party is
And what they're trying to bring.
and what they're trying to bring into the marriage. Then we have Pastor Adeyemi, I think he's watching from Holland.
Yeah.
He said most of the time it is harmful as there is the possibility to take sides. Yeah, well, yeah, I think it's true. Yeah, because third parties are most of the time would take side. If assuming is the woman's parents,
Yeah.
they say, oh, we know our daughter. We know our daughter.
Yeah.
Do you really know your daughter?
Yeah.
Or we know our son. We know our son. We raised him. He grew up with us. Really?
Yeah.
You know your son. He grew up with you. You don't know what he's doing to another person's daughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So most of the time, it can be harmful. I think we have another comment from Sochima. Yeah. Do you want to read that?
Yeah, I said, I believe it can be helpful and also harmful, depending on the person that is given the advice. Some people may give advice with good intent, but the advice can be harmful. That's true. Discernment and wisdom is key in knowing what advice to accept. That's very true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So so would that be that the motive of the person who is giving the advice, or just the way just the way the person received the advice?
But there was something that you was telling me today about what the wise do and don't do.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was something you were telling me about the wise give.
Oh yeah, no, the scripture says that the wise will give, if you give a wise person counsel, they will increase in wisdom. But if you give a foolish person counsel, they will hate you. Give a wise person counsel, they increase in wisdom. You give a foolish person counsel, and they will instead hate you. So it is very, very important, therefore, that we are careful who we are even advising.
Children.
Because if you advise the wrong person, guess what? They will hate you.
You advise the wrong person.
No, the Bible says you give advice to a foolish person, they will end up hating you. You become their enemy. They'll start fighting you. It's as if you are the problem.
Yeah.
Whereas you are trying to help them come out of their problem.
Yeah.
But if you give, he says you advise a wise person, they increase in wisdom.
Yeah.
So I think is key that people understand, and obviously the intent in their heart. Amaris added to her, she said, I can testify, if it wasn't for the intervention of a third party in the form of my pastor, my marriage would have been broken by now, and my husband wouldn't have surrendered to the Lord. So again, that is where you have the third party positive, because the truth is that there are times when you are having issues with your husband or with your wife that they are not ready to listen to you. If it's just you and them, they're not ready to listen. The only voice they can listen to at that time would be the voice of a third party. A third party that they respect and you respect.
Yeah.
That is the voice they will listen to. So here we see where the intervention of a third party
has been helpful.
Have been helpful in not just saving a marriage, but also getting a man to the Lord who was not in the Lord.
Wow.
By the intervention of third party.
Yeah.
I can see something from Sister Betta. You want to read that?
Yeah, they can be helpful or toxic to the marriage, but who will allow to be third party is important. Okay, so who you allow to be a third party is important. And the couple accept them. Sometimes the husband accepts a third party, but the wife does not, and vice versa.
So would it be wise then for let's say, I know you can't choose your mother-in-laws, or you can't choose your parents or your father-in-laws. Do you understand? Yeah. But you can choose your advisors. Yeah. So let's say, would it not be good then for a couple in the early stages of their marriage, or even if it's not early stage, as they are listening now, to sit down and say, listen, we're in a new year. This is 2020, a new decade for that matter. Yeah. Let us agree between the both of us who are the people that we both respect, that we can allow their words or their action or their advice to influence this marriage or our union.
If we ever have problem,
this is the person, my wife, I give you permission, you can speak to, and I will not frown at it. Or this is the person, my husband, you can speak to, and I will not. If we ever have problem, you can open up to such a person. And their word will matter to the both of us. I think it's important, because if a couple comes to that agreement, then they know that these are the voices we can listen to. So obviously, if then, let's say the husband then maybe run into somebody or a friend who then gives him a counsel, like that counsel say, go and buy the land in your village and build and all of that, they can go and check with these wise counselors. One of them to say, oh, by the way, I just want to check this with you. Somebody spoke to me about this.
Or what do you think of a wife buying this, or a spouse? You don't have to say
you don't have to say it's me.
Yeah.
What do you think? And then they'll say, no, don't do that. This is that. So I think it's important because we know that third party presence or input in a marriage is inevitable.
Yeah.
To ignore it and act and pretend that, no third party, is just the two of us. You are deceiving yourself.
Yeah.
Say, no, as I'm going into this marriage, my husband has to know it, my wife has to know it. No third party, just the two of us. Who told you that? You are deceiving yourself, my dear. Inevitably, there is a third party influence. So because we know there's third party influence, why don't you accept that they are third party influence and sit down and agree on which third parties you will allow their input, their voice, and their influence in your home.
And maybe even agree what you would accept and what you would not tolerate.
Exactly.
I would not like that if you're getting advice from somebody, it now brings issues to the home. Just know that this kind of thing, I will not like it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, it helps them to even shape their mind before they even act on something, or as they've acted and they've now seen the impact that it's made. Only then will advise themselves that this kind of friendship or this kind of influence, I don't think is helpful for my home.
Yeah.
Because you've already had those discussions. I remember when we were courting, because we had something that we call a courtship book, where we wrote down everything in chapters and everything. So even part of that was who we can talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our husband said, this person, if there's ever anything, you can talk to these people and I will not have a problem with it. So that in itself gives me the confidence to know that, okay, if anything did ever happen, thank God it never has and it never will by the grace of God, I have people that I can talk to.
Yeah.
So it gives you that kind of confidence as well, because sometimes there are some issues that need addressing, but then as a spouse that is hurting, you don't even know who to turn to.
And then at those points,
those people may even talk to other people.
You're probably then turning to a friend, a girlfriend, or a boyfriend who is my mate, we grew up together. Sometimes the mate is probably not the right person.
Yeah.
And then when you speak to that person, the thing will not change that your husband or your wife is not upset. It's not about what they did, but
why did you go and speak
to this person? So it's very important that, like we did when we were courting, to say, look, if there was ever anything, these are the people to speak to, and I will not have any issue with it. I think couples need to come to that place where they come into that agreement on such people, because those influences are key.
Yeah.
I think we're getting close to
our time.
Time, because we have another engagement this evening. So we're broadcasting for about 40 minutes today. Well, so maybe, we probably would need to go deep into this in a future broadcast, as we don't have the luxury of time today. But I think maybe if you can give some final counsel on the subject.
I think third party, the role of third party, I think that's the topic, the topic of the discussion.
Yeah.
So every third party does have a role.
Yeah.
But how you now allow that person to play out that role is up to you. Am I going to allow this person to have a negative role, or am I going to allow this person to have a positive role? It's up to you. But you have to be determined to set boundaries so that somebody that is potentially a negative influencer does not feel free and confident and comfortable to continue to, play you, and your spouse against each other, or make your home turn upside down. And without you, you're the person that they're using to be able to achieve that. So I think as a spouse, you have to have set boundaries so people know that my marriage is a no-go area. Don't come and try to, control my home or control my marriage. And then those that do have a positive influence, positive presence and input to give, then obviously just thank God for them and be prayerful as well. Ask God to send the right people to you to help us. You know, there's divine helpers, people that will help you so that you would now know. Like for Ruth, Naomi was a divine helper, somebody that helped her to advise her, and she was through that counsel able to even get.
She was a great mother-in-law. She was a third party, but she was a great. Naomi was such a great mother-in-law, such that even when her two daughter-in-laws had lost their husband, they didn't want to separate from her. Can you imagine that?
Can you imagine that? Some daughter-in-laws be like, "Hey, freedom,
freedom!" They would run even before anything. Yeah, so you think about it. Yeah.
Mama, you know, since this your sons have gone,
that I'm gone. No, bye bye. But no, they were good. You know the statement of Ruth. Ruth said. You know, he said, your people will be my people.
Yeah.
He said, where you die, that's where I will die. Where you are buried, that's where I'll be buried. That's to some people can't even say that to their own mother, their own biological mother. So that gives us a picture of what kind of third party, what kind of mother-in-law that Naomi was to these ladies. For these ladies to come to a point where
they love her so much.
No. So she was a great, you know, third party. So we have to be mindful of that, and that's why they stayed with her. I know we're wrapping up, but just this question. Sister Betta said, should a spouse keep a mentor or coach who their spouse did not agree with, even if they are benefiting from the mentoring or coaching?
Who their spouse did not agree with.
Yeah, so basically.
So categorically, as I don't want you with that.
Yes, so. I don't approve of your closeness to this person, your relationship with them, whether as a coach or as a mentor or whatever they are to you.
I think it's quite difficult. At the end of the day, it's your marriage, so you wouldn't want the influence of somebody else, even though you see it as positive, your spouse does not. So every time that person's name or influence or discussion comes up, it's always going to be an issue.
And you're not going to marry the coach.
Mentor or the coach.
You're not going to marry the mentor or the coach. They are not going to marry you. So you're already married. So your relationship and your marriage, I
think you have to pray if it is truly a positive impact that is meant to be having on your life, then you have to pray that God will open up the eyes of your spouse to see that.
To see it,
If not, it's very difficult to because it's basically you're walking a little bit in disobedience towards your spouse, which is not advisable.
Well, I'm going to wrap up by saying that, you know, we all have third parties in our marriages, and they have a role to play. I mean, in the discussions today, we have seen, even from people's comments, you know, how third parties, if not for third parties, certain marriages that would not have been existing. And the positive, but also there's the harmful negative part. And we have said the solution to it is basically this couple coming together and agreeing on who the third parties can be, what kind of characteristics they want to see in them, and obviously where you identify that the third party is toxic to your home and to your marriage, the two parties should be willing to
let them go.
And it doesn't matter. Don't say, oh, this is my childhood friend. We used to hang out together. Well,
but what if it's your parent?
Well, if it's your parents, you are not going to
in-law and then
you're not going to disown your parents, but obviously, if the influence of your parent in your marriage is negative and it's causing problem, as a pastor, I've seen that in counseling time and time again, where you know you're wondering, this woman or this man leave these people, let them live. Stop, you know, coming to be a dictator in their home. So if it's your parents, I think that once the couple, they can both stand together, as long as they are united and standing together, the parent will back off. The problem is if one of them is leaning,
still listening to mom or still listening to dad, you know.
That's where the problem.
And even though they've agreed something with their spouse, by the time they've gone back to tell mom or dad, they said, no, your mom or dad has said, let's do it different. You should do it a different way. You now come back to your spouse and said, oh, mom said we should do it a different way. I think we should do it a different way.
I think we should do it a different way.
It doesn't leave your spouse in a comfortable position.
That is a big problem. So you have to outgrow that.
Yeah.
You have to outgrow that. Tell mom, well, thank you for your advice, but I've agreed with my spouse that we are going to do it this way.
Yeah.
Then your mom...
Even if they put pressure.
Even if they put pressure,
Mom, don't go to that area.
Don't go to that. Then your mom and your dad will begin to then respect that, okay, my son or my daughter is one with their spouse.
Yeah.
And as such, I cannot come and, become a destructive voice. Yeah. So people of God, God, we pray that God would send you the right third parties for your home, for your marriage and your union in this year 2020, and that they will be helpers. God, the third parties around you and your marriage will be helpers and not those who will hurt you or hurt your destiny or hurt your home. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks.
For another Talk with the Mrs. edition. Yes. So we look forward to seeing you there. Until then, we say stay healthy, evaluate the third parties around you, and make sure that you stick with the right ones. God bless you in Jesus' name.
Bye-bye.
Amen. Bye.